I'm not shocked by Bryce Young being benched.
It's a high school player.
I didn't realize it was going to take this long. I really didn't. From the first time I saw the kid play, I said, okay, he's slight build. He does have an arm, but he's mobile, but that style of play with a bad offensive line, we'll see how long that holds up. Right? Struggle. Obviously, you look at the struggles in the first year. You don't really, you kind of give kids a mulligan in the first year, especially if you start right away, right? You have to go through the ebbs and flows of the season. You got to struggle. You got to catch your rhythm, and then you want to see improvement as the season goes on, right? The last 4 or 5 games of the season, you want to see that they're actually grasping the concept of the NFL game, the speed of the game. Things are slowing down, the concepts, what the defense is giving them. You would like to see some type of progression, right? We saw that from C.J. Stroud, right?
C.J. was amazing.
C.J. was good from start to finish, but he actually got better as the season got on, right?
C.J. had to get adjusted to what was happening in the NFL.
But that's everybody. That's what I'm saying. That's the normal progression of a good quarterback. Is that you get the speed, once you understand it, now it's time to take off. We saw that from C.J. We never saw that from Bryce.
Bryce is bad. I haven't seen a pick this bad since Josh Rosen.
Yeah, but Josh Rosen wasn't the overall number 1 pick. So you have to compare him to other number 1 picks.
I can't remember a number 1 pick this bad, period. There's not one I can think of. Quarterback? Not one I can think of.
Jamarcus Russell?
Jamarcus Russell had a drug problem. Like, Jamarcus Russell, his issue wasn't talent. His issue wasn't ability.
Oh, it actually was, though.
No, Jamarcus Russell wasn't a bad
He would throw the ball into traffic when no one's there.
He was a drug addict.
I don't care.
He was on... He did that on lean.
That's fine. But at the end of the day, your progression or your progress or whatever you did on the field, it still counts. You're a number 1 pick, you're bust. You're bad. No matter if you were under the influence of that, it doesn't matter to me.
He was on lean.
You sucked.
I hope that I can sit there and one day say Bryce Young has been this bad because of some kind of drugs, because there's nothing that explains.
The fact I've never heard anybody give Jamarcus Russell a pass. Did you see the man play football?
Yes. He was horrible. He was on crack. Not crack, but
don't matter what he was on. We've seen a lot of people under the influence and play very well. That's not an excuse.
Shout out to Percy
He was just a bad player because he just did not have the maturity or the football awareness to be able to become a better player.
But this is what I'm talking about. I'm not giving him a pass for what he did in the league. He was horrible. He was a bust, big time bust. But what I'm saying is Jamarcus Russell, talent-wise, wasn't the issue. Everything that was wrong with Jamarcus Russell was up here.
Well, what's the same thing with Bryce Young?
Bryce Young has no business being out there. Like, when you look at him, talent-wise, he has no business
I don't
being
agree.
out there.
I don't agree with that.
That's how I feel.
I think the kid has talent. I think that his problem is what's between his ears. The problem is that once he gets out there, he forgets what the game plan is. There was a play where he literally flushed out of the pocket. I think he called an audible. Nobody knew what the hell he called, right? And he ends up getting sacked on the blind side from behind, right? And the sideline is looking like, what are you doing? Right? What do you, like, at this point of your career, your year 2, this is the same offense, right? You should have a grasp of the offense, whether it's good or not. You shouldn't look that bad. You can be in bad teams, right? You can have a bad offensive line. You can have bad weapons. You can have all of these things. But there's a difference between looking bad and looking bad because you have bad support. There's a difference. He looks bad outside of the bad support.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between having bad support and being bad because of the bad support, or just being bad.
He's bad.
He's bad.
He sucks.
But what I'm saying is that there's talent there, but talent is not always going to get you to the next level or keep you there. It can get you there. he's not right at this point. I don't see him progressing to the point where he's grasping NFL concepts.
He is not an NFL quarterback.
I don't know.
He is not an NFL quarterback, period. Period. Like, you have players who are great in college, have no business being on an NFL field. He is one of them. How? I don't know who in that organization looked at him and said, this is the guy. We're talking about Will Anderson is in that draft. We're talking about C.J. Stroud. Well, C.J. Stroud was number 2, right? Who else came out that year? Anybody else in that year would have made more sense than inserting Bryce Young, and then what they paid to go up to get him. Oh my!
But see, here's my biggest problem with Bryce Young is the fact that year one, all right, that's in the books. You know what you have to improve on. You know what you have to study on. You know what you have to possibly improve on in the offseason, right? Like work on. I think number one thing for me that I wish he would have worked on is bulking up, right? Bulking up to be able to take the punishment for an NFL season. He's still very frail. Like, did you not realize that, you're going to have to find a way to put on some muscle to take the bumps of an NFL season? You come back looking like the same straggly little kid that you were last season. That doesn't give an organization confidence that you actually did anything in the offseason. Like, they probably looked at him coming into camp like, I know this motherfucker did not just come back here looking like the same, wet T-shirt, 130 pounds. Like, where's the muscle training? Where's the strength training?
But then again, the organization. Like, who's your strength coach? But they're
not babysitters though, Al. They're not babysitters.
They're not babysitters, but you can sit there and look at different organizations and see who invests into the
player development.
Yeah, into the player development and how the players' health and everything like that, and who doesn't. You can tell. Like,
let's not get it twisted. Carolina's a bad organization. We're not saying that they are the gold standard. Okay. We are saying that they are a dumpster fire, absolutely. But he doesn't make them any better. Because there's some dumpster fire organizations, i.e. the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a dumpster fire organization. They've been bad for decades, right? All it takes is one good, smart quarterback to be able to change life there, right? You can have a great player that can drag a bad organization to prominence. We've seen it.
But Cincinnati has always picked good players.
Yeah, but they're a dumpster fire organization in regards to they don't develop players and they have cheap ownership.
Yeah.
So when you have that combination, it's not rooted in success for a franchise. Carolina has not had that level of ineptitude. They've had some success in their life that they've been to 2 Super Bowls.
Not with nobody that they have. Not with anybody that's there right now.
No, I'm saying that in their history, they've been to 2 Super Bowls. So they have a recipe for success. Good quarterback, you end up having a good franchise.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The leadership and ownership that's in place right now.
Oh, it's different.
They've never had success.
Yeah,
that's not the same Carolina that had Cam Newton and Greg Olsen
and Gettleman
and all of them,
right?
And was sitting there running through the NFC.
Correct.
This is something completely
different.
Yeah,
like, of course.
I can't count how many coaches they've already hired and fired.
Right.
I can't count how many changes. Like, David Temper that's his name, right? David Temper walks around the practice facility while looking like a slave owner, watching everybody, looking at who he's going to sit there and get rid of now. He has no patience.
Right.
And it's a combination of zero patience and zero talent when it comes to picking the people who are running your organization and leading your players, and the talent that you give those people to run and lead.
Right.
Like, it's a trash organization. If CJ went there, we'd be looking at CJ as a failure right now.
I see that. That's where I kind of disagree. I think that they wouldn't have this, obviously, the same success as the Texans are having right now. But I still believe that CJ would look a lot better and make that offense at least look respectful. Not saying that they would be some world beater offense, but with a good quarterback that has that understands quarterback awareness, he has pocket awareness, he understands what the defensive concepts are. He would make them look better to the point where he would. To the point where people would say, those Carolina Panthers, if they can be able to find a way to draft some good players and get some free agents in there, they may have a shot because they got a good quarterback. At this point, you need to tear the whole shit down because there's nothing that's salvageable. There's nothing. Quarterback, nothing.
I think CJ would look better than what's happening right now, but I don't think we'd have positive things to say about him.
Yes, you would, because you can separate a quarterback's play from how bad the organization is what I'm saying. We've seen, listen, Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback, right?
They ran him out.
But you can literally say that the Raiders are a bad organization. Derek Carr was a better quarterback than the Raiders actually gave him credit for. There's a lot more other quarterbacks that you can literally go down the list and say that quarterback is good, the team is shit. You can separate the two.
But I think how good, but I'm a true believer in how good a quarterback looks. Has a lot of it. A lot of that narrative comes from the people helping the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Kubiak right now, Godson. Like a lot of people. A lot of people are actually surprised with everything that's going on with the Saints right now. That's Gary Kubiak's son. Do you remember what he was sitting there? Do you remember how good he had Matt Schaub looking?
Yeah.
Like that's Gary Kubiak's son running that offense right there. They're gonna be on fire.
All I'm saying is that
season.
Even in a bad organization, Al, you can see a quarterback and say this kid has potential, right? If they can be able to get their stuff together, he has potential. I don't see that with Bryce Young. I don't see potential. And then the funny part about the whole situation is that there's some rumor that he says he would welcome a trade. I'm sure you would, because you're trying to salvage your career at this point. If you stay in Carolina with this dumpster fire organization, you're going to be out of the league. Burger King will be hiring very soon for you if you stay there. But can he go somewhere else to salvage his career? I don't know, because I don't see anything that can tell me if this kid goes to another organization, he's going to be better. I don't see that. I see it with Josh Fields. I always say, listen, I don't think Justin Fields look like a quarterback, right? But if he gets to the right organization, he does have tools that you can be able to use and mold, right?
I really like Justin.
But I don't see no tools with Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, I just spent a lot of time shitting on Bryce Young, and I'm going to spend
You can't walk it back now.
No,
you just spent 20 minutes bashing the kid. He ain't good.
No, he sucks. He sucks. But what I will say is this. The worst player in the NFL is a great football player. And he might be the worst player in the NFL right now. But there are people who are talented enough to scheme around the things that he's doing. And I think that had he gone to a different organization, and had he had a situation of where he could have sat down and learned a little bit and wasn't welcome to the NFL in the manner that he was,
right?
Maybe he's a career backup or something like that. But the savior of an organization that they built him up to be, he will never be. I think in Miami's system, he'd have looked a lot better.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? I think in Minnesota, he'd have looked a lot better. I think anybody from the Shanahan tree, he would have looked a lot better. But what's the name of the coach for? I can't even remember from.
I don't remember his name either.
But I do remember this. He had 0 other interviews, and 0 other teams call him in for interviews outside of Carolina, and he was hired by Carolina. And that goes to show you a lot about the person who's coaching him. And then, as far as Carolina right now, the same thing I said about Tampa firing everybody. What respectable coach is going to sit there and go there? So who now? So let's say they fire the coach, get rid of the quarterback, start all over again. He's been there like 5 years, maybe, if that. Let's say they get rid of everybody and start all over once again. Who of any respectable talent who thinks that they can do anything is going to sit there and step into that organization and be given an 18-month leash to be able to sit there and try to turn nothing into something.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough when you have an incompetent ownership and they're expecting you to be great in a very, very short period of time.
He's Bizarro. I don't even. He's Bizarro Jerry Jones. Yeah. Jerry Jones at least knows a little bit about what he's talking about.
Jerry Jones can draft his ass off
like a motherfucker, except for when he was trying to get Manziel. But
you gotta relax. Okay? You gotta relax.